You're listening to the One-on-One Football Podcast, the number one podcast for Aussie rules training, coaching and development tips.
Welcome back to the One-on-One Football Podcast. Andrew Rains here, founder and CEO of One-on-One Football. Great to be back, Harry, on the other end, mate. How's things?
Yeah, thanks, Ramsey. Good to be back. Going well down here in Melbourne. You obviously had a trip down here a couple of weeks ago, and we did some filming, which is great to catch up. And then, mate, you've been travelling around a bit with the holiday masterclasses. How have they been going?
Been busy, and hence probably why we'll touch on it. Why we've sort of been off haven't released a recent podcast offline for a bit. In terms of we've been online, literally. Yep. Been obviously busy with building, as you said. I was in Melbourne with yourself. We thought we'd swap it up this time and do our filming content down there. You've come up here last time, and can't wait to sort of drip feed that through our Footy IQ membership, which we'll touch on shortly. And then there's the masterclasses. So we did a masterclass sort of summer program throughout Australia previously, and we got some feedback and some demand around a school holiday program. And again, I was as the company director and CEO, I thought sort of obviously got to listen to the market and implement what the people want, but also too important to note that we don't want to become a company or a business where we sort of just do holiday clinics and there's thousands of kids and we got one or two coaches out there. So we have to be really careful on that and stick to what we're about, and that's intimate and personalised and then individualised approach when we can, even if it is in small groups. And we thought we succeeded in that. We just held one on the Gold Coast last week. We just did one in Brisbane for the first time, and I flew up to Rockhampton to do one up there, which was a really exciting prospect, and hopefully we can continue to push into North Queensland, a region. What we find is a lot of regional areas and demand for these type of things. And yeah, flew up there and did an amazing session with some really keen kids up there in Rockhampton. So yeah, been busy, mate, flying around a bit and keeping our brand flying strong. So really proud of what we've achieved over the last couple of weeks and last couple of months.
Yeah, and one of those one feature of the masterclass was obviously the individual kicking analysis, which we'll get to a little bit later on in the episode. But before we do, mate, I believe we've got some new coaches available on the One-on-One Football platform. Obviously, we're always adding coaches, but this month in particular, we've got some ex-AFL players and a fair few new coaches. Are there any in particular that you wanted to highlight to the listeners?
Oh, look, I'll go through a few of them. Again, it's another element to our business we've been really busy with and been driving that. We've got some great coaches in spread out throughout Australia. We've got a good mix there. So I'll go through a few of them now. So we've got Andrew Buse, a former Brisbane and Geelong superstar. We'll say superstar, we'll say star. He's a very, very good player. So Busey probably before a lot of our, I wouldn't say our listeners, because we've got a good demographic of old. When I say older, my age probably, and ranging from sort of mid 30s to sort of 40s and 50s. You might remember Busey played about 250 games, and he's down in Geelong. So looking forward. He actually runs a PT business too, so hopefully that can coincide pretty well. We've got Matty Eagles, the winner of the Recruit, the great Matt Eagles. The big fella with the dreadlocks, played a handful of games at Brisbane and just did a masterclass with him in Brisbane. He helped out, which was great. We've got Billy Gower as the leading goal kicker from the Bulldogs in the year 2017, I think it was. Yep. Played a handful of games at the Bulldogs and current Southport Shark in the VFL. So he comes with a great background and based on the Gold Coast. We've got Kurt Aylett. Kurt's been all around the place with his footy in terms of in Victoria, but played at Essendon and he's and played a bit in country Victoria. Now he's based in northern suburbs of Melbourne. We've got Kyle Emley from Sydney. He's operating. He played a pretty good level of I think NEFL and a bit of VFL football too. So yep. He's in Sydney. Jono Freeman, who I played with at the Lions. Jono was the first player drafted from the Brisbane Lions Academy when it first started. He's in Noosa. Farron Ray, 200 game player with the Bulldogs and St Kilda. I think he finished up his career at North Melbourne too, so made 3 clubs similar to myself. He's in Sydney, so another good one in Sydney. Zach Foote, young player from the Swans list, and now in the VFL with the Sharks up on the Gold Coast. And AJ Dawson, brother of Jacob, has jumped on board with Coach AJ in the academy coming through, and he's a QAFL Premiership player and keen to get into his coaching. So, look, a real good mix there of players that have played at the highest level and over 200 games to sort of, coaches like AJ or Zach who are sort of a bit younger, but as we know, can really connect to those younger type of players coming through.
Yeah, for sure. And how many coaches does that take us to now? Are we close to 170?
I think we're around sort of 170 to 180, depending on sort of people's availability. Sometimes, as we know, they can sort of pending their availability. Sometimes they log offline for a bit as life gets busy, and then log back on. So we hover around that sort of 170, 180, which is great. Looking always to put on new coaches and some great names.
Yep. Yeah, really exciting. And obviously, if you're interested in one of those coaches, then they're not in your area, you can still connect with them for a virtual session, which has been sort of growing in popularity. I was speaking to Dale Tapping this morning, actually, Rainsy, and some of his footballers from back when he was in Queensland. He's still connecting with and doing virtual sessions. Some around mentoring, but also game education as well. So.
Yeah, I think it's pretty important. I was actually in Rockhampton yesterday for our masterclass, and look, it's a fine balance again from a business point of view, and our strategy is that we're trying to connect people with really good coaches, and sometimes with that we do probably put in a fairly strict sort of application and make sure they're the right people. So, we're in Rockhampton. A few of the parents were asking, is there a coach in the area? Now we've potentially got a few coaches lined up there, but haven't actually put one on yet because I just understand the region who's there for a really good example of that. And I suggested you can jump on board for a virtual coaching session, and I did actually 2 or 3 sessions last week virtually with some kids out of Melbourne and on the Gold Coast. Even on the Gold Coast here, there's been really poor conditions with rain, and we couldn't organise a session, so ended up doing a virtual session. So guys, if you're listening, jump on board, and sometimes during the footy season too, it might be a good opportunity to sort of do these sessions. It's off legs, it's a mentoring session. You can talk more about the game than you probably would be in the summer or the off season. So it's a reason why we build it.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll touch on that a little bit later in the episode as well, about some of those tips for this point in the year and how you can continue to keep developing your game. And obviously that's one part of it. Now, Rainsy, the first agenda item for today's episode is a bit of a recap of the AFLW season. We had the W Awards last week, of course, and it was a very memorable event for a few reasons, Rainsy. Very, very much so. There's some stuff that I've seen on footy trips being performed in the AFLW night of nights, which was was all in good spirits. And Craig Startovic should be very proud of his efforts, being a great coach. I know Stars pretty well, so the shoey was fantastic. Go down in history. And huge congratulations to Emily Bates from Brisbane Lions. That's the reason why he did one, and I just want to shout out to her. Fantastic season. Watch her a bit throughout my time sort of watching the AFLW, and she just racks up the ball. She continually gets it. Talk about footy IQ. She's got a great footy IQ, knows how to find the footy, and very, very well deserved. And as I said, back to Stars, I didn't think he was going to do it, and I think she did. She didn't think he was going to do it either, but he did it. So I think it will go down in history, as you said. So really, really good night for the Lions, and obviously with Emily being a well deserved winner. Yeah, for sure. And just a quick shout out as well to friend of the show, Katie Brennan, who received her second All-Australian selection, back-to-back now as a centre-half forward. And obviously just want to shout her out. Obviously, I know how hard she works, and really deserving for that back-to-back All-Australian selection. We've got 2 episodes, episode 8 and 14, where you can listen to some of Katie's inspiration and get an insight into her career. Yeah, well done, Katie. Fantastic. She's so consistent, isn't she, Harry? And I know she's a really, really good friend of yours. You say she's a friend of the show. Great friend of yours, and I've heard you speak a bit about her, and obviously you've spent a lot of time with her, and just her ability to be a pro, I think, and we'll touch about that on a fair bit later in the show about how you go about that, and she's definitely one of those people. Yeah, she's an absolute prototype for, I think, professionalism. Like, as you said, we'll touch on a young player coming through the system now that we that we also think has similar traits. But in terms of the AFLW, in terms of anyone that I've come across in the AFL or the AFLW, I think she's she's always looking for the edge, and even if she's injured or something, she finds a way around it, and she's got a real sort of no excuses attitude. So I'd really encourage anyone to go back and listen to those episodes, because there's a lot that we can all learn from someone like Katie, and hopefully. I don't know, I'd love her to end up in a coaching role somewhere as well. I think she's
it should be fantastic.
Got those skills along with Daisy Pearce and the likes as well. So a bit of a pump up for Katie there. She'll love that. Now we have an interesting stat as well, Rainsy. So Taylor Harris, of course, at the Demons, she's played in 3 grand finals, which I actually didn't realise, and all 3 of those grand finals have been for 3 different teams and against the same opposition every single time in Adelaide. Bit stiff for Taylor. She's played in a lot of grand finals, but hasn't won one yet. It'd be great to see her get up and win an AFLW flag. But just a bit of an interesting stat that we saw the AFL post during the week.
I think I saw that the other day, and obviously you've noted it pretty well in our show notes. It's she's been a bit stiff. Fantastic player. I hadn't taken a huge I watch a bit of the AFLW and watch more probably the Queensland teams, and saw her early days come through and thought she was an incredible kick and a really nice mark and things like that. But I think it was the game she played against the Lions up here, and she absolutely tore the game apart. And against the Suns, I think she played too. So I was watching those games, and she was incredible. So she's really backed up. She's a fair media figure and sort of not afraid to sort of speak out and talk about any issues in the game, and she's backed that up with an incredible season. But also too, just a huge Congratulations to Erin Phillips, Adelaide Crows, huge, massive. I just think she's an incredible player. She's head and shoulders, I think, above a lot of the players over the time of the AFLW. I think she's just been incredible, and I think she'll go to Port Adelaide.
Yep.
I think she will. Yeah, I think
it's
so.
It's in the family, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, her father played there, and it's just, I reckon it'd be a really nice fit. I mean, I know she's been part of the Crows, culture and everything that's come through, and everyone sort of, affiliates her with the Adelaide Crows. But I think it'd be a great move into a coaching sort of playing role. If it's just coaching, but I think she'd be a great fit for it.
Yeah, after the third premiership as well, there's no stone left unturned at the Crows, so she'd be a great person for that, for the Port Footy Club to build their AFLW program around. Obviously, nothing's confirmed yet, but I reckon that's the most likely. A few with expansion this year, Rainsy, a few big trades already that have happened in the AFLW. We've got Maddie Prespakis and Georgia G from Carlton that have already committed to Essendon, which is a huge move for probably 2 of Carlton's biggest players to a rival club in Essendon. But look, I guess that's what we want to see in the AFLW. We want to see the best players being spread around, and obviously now we're going to have all 18 teams. It's a very busy trade period for the girls.
Well, I think we saw that in the men's comp when the Suns came in and Ablett moved up to the Gold Coast, and GWS they had some big signings. So it's just part of, I think, the expansion of when you do those things. So yeah, it's good to see.
Absolutely. And now, mate, second talking point is obviously the men's season. So for the listeners, the junior footballers, we're probably a couple of rounds into the season, depending on which league you play in. Obviously, the AFL has kicked off a few weeks before that. The VFL, I think, is in round 2, and then most junior competitions are sort of starting in round 1. Now, in your experience as a player and a coach, what are some common mistakes that you see in young players at this time of year, whether it's a mindset or a training habit? What are some common mistakes?
Oh, some mindset of stuff, I reckon, and sort of dealing with a few players at the moment, just around their form. If they're not in great form early days, they sort of feel like they're not going to have a great season. I really think that's an area that they've just got to keep working on and work their way through. Or they might have an injury and they're sort of a bit down at this time of year, and it's a big season. So that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So that's a huge thing from a mindset point of view. And I think too, from a training point of view, just to be able to make sure that they're sort of getting that extra craft and sharpening their skills up this time of year. There's probably less time spent in the gym and less time running and things like that, and really focusing on your craft.
Yep, yeah, for sure. And so, is there a So obviously the mindset, we know it's a long-term mindset. If you're not getting picked in the team every week, you mentioned maybe an injury or it could be form, and you're only 1 or 2 rounds into the season, the mindset's extremely important. But what can you do to get back into the side? Are there any actions that you recommend to players out there who aren't getting picked in the team every week?
It's more so just to be able to sort of. It's usually around that selection time, and they're sort of obviously at club footy they're going to get a game, or even at club footy they might have a Division 2 team and they're trying to get the Division 1 or Division 3 up to Division 2, whatever it is, or a representative team. So they're going to be playing some level of football. So you still get the opportunity to play. And it's a bit like I went through my career at times and playing the reserves, and you just got to be able to go your next cab off the rank. So when you're ready, you've got to be ready. And I've seen actually a few players come in this year in the AFL that are ready to go. They've been playing it a few times in the. Yeah. I think I saw young Malcolm Roses from the Gold Coast Suns play the other day, and he's been just doing his time in the twos. Comes in and kicks 3, but he's got some good form in the VFL. So there's a really good example of going, okay, well, when I get my opportunity, I want to make most of it. So you will play some level of football wherever it is. It doesn't matter. You've got to be in really good form. And I often had coaches say to me before, and it came true a few times, that if your form is good in the twos or the form's good wherever you're playing, you go up a level, it should continue through. Like if you go out and get 30 possessions at a lower level, but then you come up, you've actually that 30 possessions doesn't get wiped because you're playing up a level. Yeah. You're in good form, so that's a bit different to come back from injury. I think the form thing, being left out, a tiny bit different to coming back from injury. But that's a really good response to be able to make, and do it from there. So I think the other one too is just to be able to sort of the feedback you do get from your coaches, take it on board. So why you're not in the side? There's always some reason. You can blame others and go, that person's in over me and I should be in. Well, let's actually give them no excuse not to pick you. So there's always an area why you're not in the side. There's or why you didn't get selected. So zone in on that area and that feedback. Don't worry about anyone else and make sure that's right. Cover that off and give them no excuses.
And it's obviously important to be proactive in that area as a footballer. Like I know I think when I was dropped in a VFL game, my first response is like, oh, I should be picked. I think I should be picked. And it's almost, a bit of ego or whatever. But then if you actually put that aside and actually go and talk to the coach and ask for feedback and be proactive in that sense and not wait for someone and not wait for them to give it to you, then you're showing a bit of initiative. Do you think that's something that players need to get better at, perhaps, is going and actually talking to the coach and asking for a meeting and sitting down and actually and requesting that feedback themselves?
Yeah, with the feedback one, it's an interesting one. You sometimes get players that hold back a bit. And actually, being a coach myself, and it's hard when you're a younger age too, but being a coach yourself, you actually remember those conversations more. You actually because you're so busy or, necessarily different levels of coaching. If you're a rep side, if you're in a full-time academy and you get the coach that's full-time, but maybe even a club coach that's not full-time and they're just sort of part-time. The players, there's so much going on, you've got to worry about every single player, and sometimes an individual you think that you should be first in mind, but you're not always. They've got so many things on their mind, and I realised that when I was a coach myself, but those players that do come up to you, you actually do remember the conversation a bit more, and you go, next time they run it, you're thinking of that conversation in the back of your head. It's a bit like, I think we've said it before, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And it's a really good quote because it's they're the ones that sort of the forefront of the mind when you're making decisions. So get that feedback, and then the other thing too is you're on the same page. Just to have those hard conversations. They are not easy sometimes, but just go and seek it, and you may as well get it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously there's actions that need to come once you've got the feedback. So, mate, when the season rolls around, we know that there's typically a drop-off in the amount of extras that we're doing because obviously we have to recover from the weekend's game, which makes total sense. The total training volume is probably lower as well as the extras. But we want to make sure that those gains that we're, the RFIs or the areas that we want to improve, that we don't stop developing on them during the season. So what's your advice to players to ensure that they continue making gains during the season on their skills?
Oh, it's just that, sort of making the time to actually be able to go and do it, and setting up your schedule. I think it's really important having a diary. You had a sort of a diary, didn't you, when you were coming through the ranks as a junior player?
Yeah, 100%. I had a little whiteboard in my room that I'd sort of write down all the different commitments, and then sort of, I guess, look at it and make sure it wasn't too much, but then also look for little ways to squeeze more in, whether it was before a session. So I found a whiteboard helped, but I know other players have got like a training diary, or like a calendar that they sort of organise things on.
So I think just keeping yourself accountable, each week checking in, make yourself accountable. How do I keep continuing to improve it? Yeah, again, it's not, if it's in this season, maybe it's not as a heavy workload type of setup, but it's just being able to get something done and footy in the hands and some extras. So I think that's the best way to sort of be able to continue those gains.
Yep, awesome. And now we've spoken about this as well on a previous episode, but there's more ways that you can improve your footy other than training, which is obviously one of those is football education and watching vision. And by vision we mean behind the goals footage from games, whether that's your own game or an elite player that plays in your position that you want to be like. What are the benefits of watching vision, Rainsy, during the season?
I think it's massive, and if you can get to a live game, even better, because you can see so much more stuff off the TV, and you see the running patterns and all sorts of stuff. You see how ferocious and quick and fast the game is. I think that's an incredible thing to actually watch. So if you are in those sort of city areas, to be able to go and watch a live game is fantastic. But just watching the TV, watching as much footy as possible, obviously not burning yourself out so you're sick of football, but just being able to watch watch the game and understand, watch players, watch where you're typically going to play and match yourself up towards that player who is in that position, that AFL player. So I think that's incredible, just being able to watch vision and learn the game. I think that the ones that watch the most footy more into the game, know the players, things like that, you just pick it up straight away. Okay, they become better footballers because they live and breathe it.
For sure, and if you want to play like Bontempelli, then watching him play is going to be a great catalyst for your improvement. You see kids that just reenact what they see, or they imitate their idols, or when you babies, Rainsy, your son Xander, 1 year old now, nearly one.
Yes, nearly one.
He'll be imitating things that you're doing.
Well, it's a bit like Labuschagne in the cricket. I love watching all sports and compare it to footy, but Labuschagne, he just wanted to imitate Smith, and he actually nearly he wanted to become Smith. He imitated him that much and practiced so much that he actually nearly plays like him now, and they've got a sort of similar traits, and it's the same. I remember he used to do different things in the backyard when I was coming through, and whether it was cricket or footy, try and imitate or take a few things from those your favourite players, which I think is really important.
Definitely, and obviously different players are going to have different strategies for improving their footy education, and you don't have to be watching hours and hours every week. You might pick and choose a couple of games to watch, or a couple of on the membership, the Footy IQ membership. We've got different breakdowns of running patterns and little insights. So if you've got the resources there, you don't necessarily have to bulk yourself up with it. You can spread it out over a course, and then that allows you, I guess, to tailor it to your training program. And then if you dedicate time, like you were saying before, Rainsy, you probably set yourself up for success.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's the best thing about sort of the Footy IQ, and we'll touch on it shortly, is the ability to be able to watch it in your own terms and in your own on demand. I think that's another thing important, because the week does get busy, and you got school and you got all these other things too for your junior football. So it's just about fitting it in the right time and be able to watch and educate yourself as much as you can away from the field. Because if you leave it to those 2 hours of training and 2 hours of game day a week, it's not enough. And we spoke about that before, I think, which is really important. Yeah,
and there's always going to be players that are dedicating more time into what they're doing. We'll talk about one of them shortly. But Rainsy, for players who are managing an injury at this time of year, and having to watch their teammates play from the sidelines, which you and I both know can be extremely frustrating, and it's easy to get into a frustrated mental state. But do you have any tips and tricks for how players can stay focused and maybe focus on a bigger picture rather than catastrophizing what's happening in the short term if they are injured?
Yeah, I remember my injuries, and you would have gone through this yourself too. You look at the big picture and you go, oh, shit, like, imagine if you're a 10-week injury and all you think about is missing all those 10 weeks.
Yeah.
But if you break it down into a little rehab program or whatever it is, and have those little gains and wins along the way, it might break it down to a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks and review things. don't give yourself 10 weeks of, if the prognosis is 10 weeks, yeah, we'll take that on the chin, but you may get back quicker, important not to rush, but you may get back in 12, 13 weeks. It's longer, so you've got to revisit every week as you go, and I think those little milestones you can tick off, with your injury is important, and they're little wins along the way. So if you can have those little milestones and goals tick off each week, I think that helps your mental state, because it's like anything. If you think about it too much and you, as you said, catastrophize it all, it gets really cloudy in your mindset, and that's when negativity hits in. Then that we know what the negativity mindset can do on the body, also that mind-body connection. So yeah, really important to just be able to stay positive, stay in the moment, and take those little wins along the way. Definitely.
No, that's awesome advice. And now, mate, that's the footballer's side of things. Now, if we move into coaches now, at this point in year where maybe a couple of rounds down, you might have lost a couple of games, and your team's not performing how you want them to, and there's a lot that obviously goes through coaching aside as well, which you've got a lot of experience in. If we get really specific for a moment and we talk about addressing the players during a game, whether it's the pre-game meeting, quarter time, half time, three-quarter time, or even at the end of the game, what's important for a coach? Are there any I guess key points that you think are really crucial to have an effective address that actually assists the team?
Well, you want to be able to be adaptable as a coach, but also at the same time you want to have a bit of structure behind the way you're coaching, and those the key words you're sort of talking about, or the key focus areas. So you don't want to be changing things ridiculously every quarter or each week if that's sort of something that's been happening. But I think the importance of being able to stick to the same consistent messaging, staying sort of clear and concise in what you're saying. And then also sort of staying calm. I think that football can be a reactive game, and you react to things differently. But I think if you're putting the things in place and you stay consistent in your messaging, I think the players actually respond really well to that. But then at the same time, if it's not working, then you revisit it the next week and you work on it through the week at training. And it might be a bit of a different style. You play through a different team. It doesn't mean you throw everything out, but that's those different ways to be able to adapt. You're playing a different team. We'll train it during the week. Make sure the players are on the right page with you, with your messaging, and important to stay, not throw everything out if you get beat by 50 points the first week.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good point. I think that's something that, as a player, I picked up on, is that in the middle of a game, it's hard to sort of take on too many words and too much theory from a coach, but you always pick up on their emotions. Like if like you said, if someone's calm, the players are going to reciprocate that emotion. So, is there something? Do you reckon going into a coach's address with a specific sort of emotion that you want to, or a calmness, is that something that you'd focus on as well as the structures and feedback?
I think so. Yeah, the calmness at all in your voice, if it definitely depicts how it's all going, then they'll pick up on that spot on. Because if you're not calm, the players aren't going to be calm either. But at the same time too, was doing the coach seminar in Rockhampton after our masterclass the other day, and talking to some coach up there, and I just was speaking about don't be afraid to actually use some aggression sometimes, and use a hot sort of bit of height in your voice, and actually use a good old spray occasionally if it's needed, because that has got some merit if you don't use it all the time. But you don't want to be using it all the time, but it definitely has a bit of a wake up to some players if they need it.
Yeah. I guess there's a right time and place for each emotion as a coach. Now, Rainsy, moving into our third talking point. So this one's really exciting. We've sort of had discussions about this player on and off for the past sort of couple of months. There was an article that came out on AFL.com about Will Ashcroft, who's got a lot of hype around him to go number one draft pick next year. So it's under 18s player this year, father and son pick to the Brisbane Lions if they want it. Now we shared this article on our social media pipes because we think that Will's attitude really sort of typifies what we're all about here at one-on-one football. In that article, and obviously you've coached Will at the Suns Academy, what stood out to you reading that article?
What stood out to me is he's one of the most talented players coming through this year's draft, and he's doing probably more than most kids are. So I think I've said on this show before that, and I say it a lot when I've coached and spoken to people with advice and things like that, is that if he's one of the most talented players coming through, and he's got the highest work rate and dedication to the game, then that's an incredible recipe for success. And then my question is to players that want to get drafted, because everyone wants to get drafted, and he's doing more than you, and he's more talented than you. Well, what chance have you got?
Yeah.
So you got to players are really got to break that down. I think they're going through an interesting age. It's sort of 16 to 18 where sometimes it's not cool to do the extras. Sometimes it's not cool to be, trying hard at something. But, players like Will that come through, and you can just see it from the early days when I coached him at the Suns Academy, and, got to wish he stayed there on the Gold Coast. But obviously Marcus got moved on, and Marcus, his dad, who I'm good mates with, and my former boss at used to obviously drill that in. He comes from a really good background and family that, dedication gets you a long way. And you could already see he had that at a young age. But, some of the things that in the article that he spoke about is he's got his whiteboard that he ticks off for daily tasks, for example. So we spoke about the whiteboard or the diary before. He does extra skills 2 or 3 times a week. This one, I was like, hallelujah. I hope the kids listen to, actually, if they don't listen to me, they definitely don't listen to their parents. Hopefully they listen to someone like Will and they read that article. They're in the same age group because, again, I went down over the summer and I saw a local footy club and they're doing 10 minutes of skills or a kick around. They're doing 50 minutes of running. Or, I did some extras this week. I went to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, but I did no extras on my skills. So how are you going to get better? Yeah. You can get big when you get to a club, or you can get big later in life and look good. It's in doing the extras and actually the other one he said was watching vision. That's an extra. That's off feet. That's off load. But it's obviously some mental load, but it's physically load. You can just sit down and watch a game or learn about things. And he watches other AFL players where the position he wants to play in, and watches some vision of himself too. He's probably fortunate enough he gets his games filmed, but. Those little things just tick off that holistic approach. And the other one he does is, make sure his nutrition's right, beach and pool recovery, and then he does his extra gym, or he might have an off legs, session, which I think that's really important. Something you might be able to touch on is around those conditioning sessions that you would probably use as extras in the off season running, where he's actually doing it, off legs, and he's doing it. When I say off legs, it's you're on your legs, but you're not running. So less impact. So boxing 3 times a week, and those little sessions and top ups are that critical. And then when Saturday or Sunday rolls around when you're playing, and he crosses that white line, and he knows he's done more than everyone else, and he's got one of the most talented. Of course, he's going to play well.
Yep.
So I just hope that message gets through to. Again, I'll probably go younger. I reckon it's from I see it 15 years to 17, 18, probably 17, 18 starts to pick. It's probably more in that 15, 16 age group where I just see they're not doing enough. And I think that, and again, when I say enough, it's not about burning yourself out and going for 10K runs. It's about doing it right with method. And I just see that it's peer pressure. They're going to school. They're changing, and they'll talk about young males here probably in particular, where it's not cool to be seen to be doing extras. And if your parents are advising on stuff, they're sort of starting to rebel a bit. They're saying, well, what would you know, mum and dad, because they're coming young adults.
Yep.
So again, they come to coaches like me and they listen a bit too. Hopefully they do. But then I hope they listen to their peers and someone like Will that's, got interviewed in this incredible article. And if those listeners out there, just Google it, have a look at it. We might be able to put in our show notes. It's a great article and something to take out. If you really want to get there, again, it's not for everyone, but if you are and you're on that path and you say you want to get there, do yourself a favour and listen to that.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any player that's got the right to be complacent, it's probably someone like him who's already at the level that he's at. But he's obviously not. He's got this real growth mindset. And I think coming through the junior talent pathways, there's media articles now and there's a bit of hype and you start getting picked for state teams and you play carnivals and you might read an article saying that you're going to get drafted. But I think you've got to completely ignore all that and actually do the work as well and actually continue working. Just because you might be considered a good player now doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get drafted. So it's a really good example of someone that is putting in the work as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think once he gets to an AFL club, he's going to he's number 44 in line. He might not be literally, but you sort of go to last in line in the pecking order in terms of the list. So you got to go again. You've got to keep going.
And he's already practiced the habits that are going to allow him to climb the ladder when he does enter a club at number 44. So he's already got those skills. Now, Obviously, if you're in those NAB League pathways, you've got access to some content, whether it's game footage like you mentioned. But with the Footy IQ membership that we've got running, we've got a whole bunch of content on there, educational content from match footage to game reviews, tips and tricks, which is a new category that we've put out, Rainsy, and obviously you were down here in Melbourne, and we were filming some tips and tricks. A bit of a popular one so far has been the in-swing drop punt, which I actually didn't know about until we were up there filming it. Could you give the listeners that haven't seen that bit of content a bit of an insight into what is the in-swing drop punt?
Well, I've probably nailed it myself. I don't know if it's actually got a name.
Trademark
My dad sort of told me early days whether I could nail it. Yeah, whether I could nail it or not. There's Gary Ablett kicks it really well. I remember him kicking sort of. You'll see it on the Footy IQ, but actually, Dad. I've got some photo of Dad's. I'm in Dad's office at the moment. He's got his mark of the year in the background there, I think. So he'll be happy with that. But yeah, he sort of taught me that from a young age. I used to watch some of his vision. He used to be able to do it and sort of taught me. And yeah, it's an incredible kick around your body, and I think Petrarca does it really well. And you can see it all through the Footy IQ, and actually I think you've been able to edit and put in some AFL players like Petrarca to be able to do it, and then it's obviously got the vision of me. It's essentially kicking around your body that you probably would do a snap. It's easier to do a snap, but the snap doesn't get you the extra distance that this kick does. It's essentially a drop punt around your body that acts like a snap, but gets more gets more distance in the air and sort of, depending on which side of the body you're kicking, but it swings back in. Okay, so if it depends on where you are in a game, you can do it around goal. It becomes very handy. Yeah,
and I automatically think of the Buddy Franklin kick back in his 2008 days, where he's got that. Still now actually, not just back in. I'm just a Hawthorn supporter, so I'm a bit biased, but that when you're on the wrong side for a left footer, for example, where a snap would curl back toward the goals, but as a lefty, you can't kick a snap because you don't have enough distance, for example, but you can still get the ball to curve back in that direction. It's a really interesting kick, and I think if you watch a game closely since you brought it up, I've been sort of watching that in the AFL, and it happens all the time. Players use that kick so often, 40, 50 meters out on the boundary on the wrong side. It's a great way to get a bit more distance and swing the opposite way, which I think a lot of players won't know how to kick it, and that's what the video is all about. You go through all the different key technical points to make it happen. Now, Rainsy, another category that we've got on the Footy IQ membership is our AFL Key Moments. And the first one that we released was from Carlton's round 2 clash with the Western Bulldogs. Now, you spoke about their contested craft, and we sort of introduced some new terms to the Footy IQ audience. Did you want to run through what some of those were?
Yeah, so we've just got a bit of a key moments edition that we'll be adding to the Footy IQ around our sort of insights library, and just giving a bit of an overview of a clip in a specific game each week. And this one we've zoomed in on Carlton and their ability to get numbers for the contest. So, and you'll see me talk about forwards emptying out. So emptying out means clearing out the forward line to put more numbers up the ground when you're defending, to be able to put more density in the ground, to be able to turn the ball over, and obviously then counterpunch the other way. Mids getting to the contest, we speak about the forwards then their leading patterns getting back to goal when they win it, one coming at the kicker, one going away, and then the ability to be able to get up and back on the ground, and your running patterns forces, when you do get that ball inside 50, it acts like the old school wall. If you've got players working hard and outnumbering the contest, you actually do set yourself up really well in defence. So check that one out. We'll be adding more onto it, and me talking a bit about how it's sort of broken down and key elements terminology in the modern game.
Yeah. So these are our little game reviews that we do, where obviously Rainsy picks a moment and goes through it, and we pause and we spend time explaining different structures. And that forward emptying out one I found really interesting when I first learned it back in the academy. I was playing up forward, and often if the ball's in your forward line and you're a forward and the ball gets turned over, the opposition wins it, it's easy just to sort of stay there and wait for the ball to come back. But I think in this clip particularly, it shows the effect that forwards can have on team defense if they're proactive when the ball is leaving the forward line. And it's probably not something that, especially coming through the younger age group, it's probably not something that you think about as a forward. Forward's about kicking goals, but it's really the first line of team defense. And I think this clip's a really good example of that, and you can sort of see it from a few different angles. Now, Rainsy, another exciting category that we've got on the Footy IQ membership is a performance nutrition category with some healthy recipes in there. Your wife Elise has come up with these recipes. Did you want to sort of introduce Elise to the audience?
Yeah, so Elise a nutritional medicine practitioner, so she's a qualified nutritionist and also in sort of the natural medicine field, but she's created some recipes there that we're going to share. Some of my favourite recipes when I was playing football, so some really good ones around snacks, breakfast ideas, lunches, things you can eat and be healthy. So I think that's a really good addition to the Footy IQ and help some of our parents out there, sort of map out some meals and give them some inspiration. Also, hopefully some of the kids do get in the kitchen because it is a healthy habit to be able to cook and provide for yourself. So yeah, some good ones there. We just released some gelatin or jelly lollies, a sort, like not sugary ones, some actually real ones. So they got some really good content, nutritional content in there, and instead of just going out and eating a bag of Peter's lollies or snakes or whatever, we've actually got some ones that do taste just as good, but obviously better for you.
I'm eyeing off the chocolate gummies. I've got to put that one in the schedule to make up soon. But
delicious.
Another good example of if you are motivated by, for example, what you hear about Will Ashcroft doing, where he's focusing on his nutrition, but you don't quite know what that looks like or how to improve your nutrition. That's sort of, I guess, the motivation behind this category is to give resources and actionables if you are motivated enough to improve your nutrition. It's just another layer that you can add to your game, get that extra 1%. Now, Rainsy, we also have another new service that we're providing, which is an individual kicking analysis with yourself. It's all done online through our specially made portal. What can footballers expect when they purchase a kicking analysis?
It's a great sort of one-stop shop we've got going at the moment with the Footy IQ. So footballers that, again, might be in a regional area but just want to get their kicking analysed, we can in-house, we analyse the kicking. So essentially log in, upload their vision of their kicking. Obviously some credentials they've got to tick off to make sure it's the right vision and things, but it's pretty straightforward. And then we'll send back a full report and analysis of their kicking, which is really good. So it costs around $50, and it's a really good way to be able to engage footballers, just giving them that opportunity to be able to dissect their kicking and give them some inspiration moving forward.
Beautiful. And of course, we have a bunch of content coming up soon. And I want to ask you about something a bit more technical, Rainsy, to do with centre bounce setup. So we're actually releasing it tonight. The podcast is coming out on Friday. So when you're listening to this podcast, it'll already be live on the Footy IQ platform. It's centre bounce setups in our AFL tips and tricks category. Now, when we were filming this, Rainsy, you brought up a term called defensive triangle. So for the players and coaches out there that haven't heard of a defensive triangle before, could you just give a quick overview of what that means and how you integrate that into the video?
Yeah, without giving away too much, you have to get on there and have a look. But no, the defensive triangle, usually in footy terms, in centre bounce stoppage, is when you've got the momentum against you, but the centre bouncers obviously down. You might have lost the last 2 or 3, or you might be down 2 or 3 goals, and the other team's got a bit of a run on. So you set up a bit 2 numbers behind. Two numbers defensive side. Okay, and then 1 ahead of the ball. Okay, 1 on your offensive side of the centre square pie, if that sort of makes sense. So you just give yourself a bit more coverage and be able to sort of, you're nearly going man on man. You're pretty much probably going towards them. You never really go man on man or player on player in a centre bounce. It gets you into bad habits because they can just dictate. And I'll break that down a bit more. But just being able to set up a bit more defensively and make sure you've got a bit more awareness there, and you keep your tap as a ruckman pretty conservative. You're not trying to belt the ball anywhere. You're just trying to keep it nice and tight and sort of just get that momentum and grind yourself back in the game.
For sure, I think that's a really good clip. Actually, I was watching it this morning. I think you can get really complicated with different structures, and you can have a million different scenarios and a million different structures. But I think simple terminology like this, explained in depth, is a great way, not only for coaches to understand different ways that they can teach it, but also for players, because you don't want too many things running through your mind, but you need to have a general idea of an offensive setup and a defensive setup at the bare minimum, I think, if you're playing midfield. So some awesome little insights in that video. We've also got more tips and tricks coming up, dribble, kick, craft, how to kick longer as well, which is, I think, a really good one for people that want to add another string to their bow. And another one as well, how to navigate kicking goals from the boundary. We see, obviously, you got a defender coming at you from the mark, and then players coming from the side as well. So you give some really good examples on how to manage that. And we've also got key moments, Rainsy. What are those ones?
Key moments are exactly what we sort of explained before. We're doing sort of one a week and focusing on a key clip or a game that was played in the AFL that week. And so just analysing a breakdown of could be a stoppage or a transition where something sort of came out of it. Looking forward to analysing that specific clip. Could be a couple of minutes long, might be just one clip, and we break it down to the crux of everything involved in it, and look at certain players or running patterns or how they're set up. And then, sort of also too on that, just let us know what team player you want to analyse, and we can maybe have a look at it and put it on the Footy IQ. So DM on Instagram or email footyiq@oneonfootball.com.au. There's also going to be more recipes added and some athletic development drills and much more.
Absolutely, and you can actually access them all for free at the moment. We've got a free trial on, so if you're interested, we'd encourage you to jump on, have a look, have a browse. You can view absolutely all of it for free at the moment. That's the idea, is that we're providing resources. So if you feel like that these resources are going to help your game, jump on, have a look, can't hurt. Now, Rainsy, on that as well, so we've got the 7-day free trial, but we also have a special discount for any podcast listeners who want to sign up to the Footy IQ membership. So you'll get your 7-day free trial, but then you also get a discount, Rainsy.
Yeah, the first 10 people to use the code PODCASTER, PODCASTER, at checkout will get 15% off their membership. And there's only 10 available. So get in and make sure you get that discount. So, looking forward to our listeners jumping on board that one.
Awesome. We'll have those links and the discount code in the show notes as well. So jump on that one. Now, Rainsy, that's about all we've got time for. Looking at the AFL season, Carlton looked really strong initially, but then that loss to the Suns put some question marks. Who's your tip for the grand final, for the premiership this year?
Oh, I think Melbourne is still red hot, mate. Yep. They're going to be hard to beat, but there's obviously a couple pushing in there. The Lions I really like too. So out of Melbourne and Lions at this stage, but it's very early days, mate. I'm looking forward to sort of seeing how this season progresses. Also,
Rainsy, Jason Horne-Francis, we've got to see him play a few games. What are your initial thoughts on his start to the season?
He's very powerful. He's got those Dangerfield attributes, which everyone obviously compares him to. And he's going to be a really exciting player. Good above his head, good at ground level, quick, dynamic. So he's obviously going to have his challenges along the way. But very exciting, this pool of draft, I think. You've got Dacos, Rochelle from Adelaide. So it's a really good draft. Yeah, for sure. Plenty of players to pick from if you are looking for a prototype player that you want to play like. We'd always encourage players to find someone that they want to play like in the future, and then watch their game, analyse what they do, what gets them their touches. That's about all we've got time for. Rainsy, any final words before we wrap up, mate? That's about it, mate. I think let's get the season underway in terms of our junior and community football. It's just starting or just started, so I'm looking forward to seeing everyone getting the boots back on and looking forward to big 2022. Beautiful. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you for the next episode. Thanks for listening to the One-on-One Football podcast. If you got something out of today's episode, we'd love it if you could leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to stay updated on special guests, new episodes, and more, please subscribe to the show on your chosen platform. And finally, if you have any questions for Rainsy or myself, or you want to get a particular guest on the show, please reach out. Our email address is podcast@oneonfootball.com.au. Thanks, guys. We'll see you for the next episode.